Hey guys, welcome to the next video in this program. This video is about core values. It is really one of the most crucial things that we cover. It's super important to have a very strong foundation built and to understand how you operate at your core before we move forward, because everything you do that comes out of you permeates through your business. And so the business is a direct extension of you. And we've got to fine tune you first and set your core values in place before we can get started on the business. So I want to make sure that you're right here in the course, that you have finished this first lesson. Don't skip ahead. This is a cumulative course. It builds week on week, lesson on lesson. So go in here, get the worksheet that we made, fill out the worksheet, do all the quizzes, and build the ultimate version of yourself before you come to today's lesson on core values, please. Okay. So assuming that you now know what the ideal version of yourself looks like, let's take a look at what's inside of the ideal version of you. I take a lot of my work on core values from two books that you're going to want to check out. One is The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. That is a wonderful book for budding entrepreneurs who are wanting to put pieces together. And the second one is called Unfuck Your Business, and that's by a former mentor of mine and a friend of mine, Thomas Keenan. So I highly suggest looking up those two books, The E-Myth Revisited and Unfuck Your Business. That's where I kind of get a lot of my ideas about core values and a lot of my instruction from. So essential reading. Core values are the fundamental principles that come out of here. Right, they're what goes on in your core. I like to say, if your mom wouldn't like it, would she be proud of it? Would you do it? Right, so you can kind of define your core values by the things that were instilled in you early on. Like, you can't train core values really with employees. They exist there, and they influence everything, like from how you hire and fire, from how you conduct yourself on a daily basis, how you interact with other people. It's a lot more than just a mission statement. What a core value will do is guide you on how to make a decision in real time. And you'll start out with lots of core values. You see a lot of businesses will have 8 or 10 or 12 of them, and they get really bogged down in all these things that the employees have to remember. So you really want to find the few that resonate with you the most. We'll get into that here shortly. But in the E-Myth, Mike Gerber talks about the 3 roles in the company. The entrepreneur, that's what you are. The manager, that's what you have to play on the day-to-day operations things, and the technician, and that's what you got to play while you're actually doing the actual work. And core values influence all 3 of these roles. And so if you carry the same core values through the entire company, it means that ultimately everybody acts upon those core values, and it makes instruction easier, and most importantly, it makes discipline easier, because, if you've got 7 or 8 company core values and one employee is consistently disregarding 1 or 2 of them, it's very easy to discipline them. Say, hey, our number 1 core value here is, we show up on time every time, and I notice you're late quite a bit. So it makes discipline and quite a bit more simple, because they can see where they're out of alignment. So the goal is to develop core values. Well, how in the world do you develop these core values? How do you go about saying, well, this is important to me, and this is what I carry at the forefront of my personality throughout my life and throughout my business? So you've got to start with a little bit of self-reflection. Like, think about what's important to you. What are the most important things to you and your business? So, for example, what are some things that are non-negotiable in how you do business? What are some things you want your customers to say about your business? What kind of work environment do you want to create for your employees? What principles do you have that you're unwilling to compromise on them? And a lot of times the core values, it's going to come from you, but then as you progress in business and you're hiring people and you're building teams, you also want to consult the team on the core values and make these things that people share and all agree on. And so if you ran your company based on the answers to those questions, what's non-negotiable? What do you want my customers to say about us? What kind of environment do we want? And what principles are we unwilling to compromise on? If you run your company based on the answers to those questions, you'll find that things become a lot easier and you end up working in much more of an ideal environment. So, for example, one of my core values in business is integrity. I mean, every action that I take has to be as honest and transparent as possible. A client, a financial transaction, whether I'm talking to a team member like that, integrity, tell the truth every time, get it out there in the open, because it makes things so much easier to deal with over time. So let's take a look at this is a set of core values that we developed for Texas Media Foundry. There was probably about 8 or 9 of us sitting around the table that workshopped these, but this is to give you an idea of what a decent set of core values, especially a beginning set of core values for your business, can look like. And if every one of your employees and yourself followed a set of core values like this, think how much easier operating the company or just operating your day-to-day life would be. So the number one core value: be reliable, show up on time every time, do what you say you'll do. If you could do that, you'll be ahead of 98% of the people in business. Just getting people to show up on time every time and to deliver the product that they bill for is a huge battle for a lot of people. So if you can be that guy, you will get tons and tons and tons of referrals from happy customers because you showed up on time and you delivered what you said you were going to deliver. The second one is we are coachable and humble. We leave our egos at the door and are open-minded towards possibilities. Especially in media, I was working with people that were in their 50s all the way down to people that were in their teens, and having a mixed crew, mixed levels of experience. Just because somebody in their 50s is good at something that's mental or takes a great deal of education to do, somebody in their teens can be very, very, very good running cameras and editing videos and putting bits and pieces together. And it's very important, when you have a wide spectrum of folks that work with you, that you do leave your egos at the door and you listen to the older folks, you take their experience, and you listen to the younger people as well, and you take their ideas and take their experience, and it all becomes this one great big idea. So always be coachable and humble if we're working together. The third one is we are resourceful. As an employer, as a boss, how many times do you roll your eyes during a work day when there's at your door and you've closed your door because you're busy doing something and you need to focus? Well, a resourceful staff will look for answers first by themselves. They'll use the internet, they'll go do some research, and you've got to empower them. Like, my staff could make a $200 decision without running it by me. Like, don't disturb me, make the decision, do what's best for the company, let's go. Okay, so we're resourceful. We go and we use our own initiative. Communication, we're open and direct. Like, don't let stuff fester. Let's have a talk about it. Let's use that honesty and let's get it out there. Let's use the integrity, and we start talking and we communicate openly and directly, both with employees and with customers. Because again, if you've got a good line of communication with your customers, when things do go wrong, not if, when, things always go wrong in business. Okay, so when things do go wrong, communicate quickly, communicate openly, and work together to solve those problems. We're professional. This is very important. No matter what you do, you are perceived by everybody else exactly as you present yourself. Okay, so if I was sitting here, I'm the small business surgeon, right? I'm wearing a logo T-shirt. It's a V-neck. I got my red on my arms and stuff. But this is my uniform. I am a consultant and an accountability coach. Okay. Were I the small business surgeon business broker and you were watching a business broker series, or I was at an M&A event, I would be wearing a suit. I'd be wearing a jacket and pants and a tie at the very least. Okay. How you present yourself is how your customers perceive you. So if you're a painter and you own a painting company, if you show up clean with no paint all over your clothes, the customer will appreciate that very much. You can get paint on your clothes while you're painting, that's allowed, but you can't go bid jobs in clothes that are covered in paint. Don't show up in a dirty truck. How many of you guys that are in the service industry just show up in a dirty truck with shit all over it, with fast food wrappers, with fucking trash, with a million notepads in the dashboard, and you know who you are. So one of the core values when we showed up on a job, like, we were all wearing similar clothes. Good luck making creatives wear uniforms, but we're all wearing similar clothes. All of our vehicles are clean. All our equipment is clean and properly labeled. everything that we do shows up and it says, wow, these guys know their shit and they look great doing it. So it's a very, very easy thing to make yourself look professional and to show up clean and tidy and haircut and beard trimmed and to look the part. You're trusting people to perform like people are trusting you to perform a service. People are trusting you, they're paying you money and they expect to receive goods or services in return. Well, I tell you now, the more professional you look, the sharper you look, the better dressed and better spoken and cleaner you come across, the more business you'll do. So it's very important to look and act the part. Not that you can't wear work clothes. You can absolutely wear work clothes. But yeah, when you are face to face with the customer or the client, you should be as clean and professional and well-dressed as humanly possible. Caring, that's the next one. We do the right thing. Always put out the best product that you can. It might not be the best product in the marketplace. You can work on that. But if you put out the product that reflects the best of your abilities every time, and you care about that, you have to remember your customers are the ones that pay your bills, and you have to care about the product or service that they receive. And then finally, the last one we had in there was accountability, which was we own our shit, man. We're accountable for it. When we make mistakes, we put our hands up and we say, hey, I made a mistake. And that can either be, if it's an employee, they need to bring it to you or the supervisor, or if it's you and you can't stop it, you need to bring it to the client and own it before the client finds out. And if you can own a mistake before the client finds it, they're very impressed normally when you go and say, hey, we were working on this. This didn't come through right. This didn't quite happen, but we got it now. So anyway, all right, let's take a look at the next slide here. So there's some examples of the core values that I use. The number one core value that I can give to you all is, if you can't do any of the others, do these two things. And I say the number one core value because they're both as important as each other. If you show up on time every time and you do what you say you're going to do every time, you won't have any issue getting more business and keeping employers and employees very happy. So how do you come up with your core values? How do you actually define them? Well, you're going to want to list at least the top 5 principles that you believe are non-negotiable in your business. You say, well, Sam, how do I do that? Okay, so we've got a list here inside of the lesson add-ons. And you can see I've grouped them for you into 6 categories. Now, this is not a be-all and end-all list on core values. There's other stuff that you can, other resources that you can find them out. But this is to give you a more like a heads up and a guideline on how this all works. Okay, so the first section is growth, where any of these words can apply to how you feel about yourself. What's important to you? And relationships, what's important? Is it important that you're loyal? Is it important that you're empathetic? Excellence, is it important that you have high integrity? Is it important that you have good leadership? Is it important that you work with diligence? Okay, and so on and so on. So what you're going to do is pick any of these values that resonates with you on these categories, and you're going to circle it and just go with your gut. Go with what you feel. Like I said earlier in the video, go with what your mom wouldn't be disappointed with, right? So if there's ever a question in your ethics, whether you should or shouldn't do something, the rule of thumb is, would mom be disappointed if she knew I'd done this? Okay. So you're going to come in here and you're going to circle any of these values that best resonate with you. And then when you've got them, right, when you've got them, you're going to consider what you want your business to stand for, and more importantly, how you want it to be perceived. And so as you come down a list, right, you pick the words that are important to you, and then, like I did in that other in the other slide that we showed earlier, you write out behind it what that means to you. And it's very important that while you're doing this, you reflect on what is important to you, like within your business. Like, how do you want your business to be? You get to make this up. Like, it's yours. You get to choose. You say, I want it to do X, Y, and Z. You can go make it do that, right? There's no right and there's no wrong. Your core values will attract the right employees and they will repel the wrong ones. They'll attract the right customers, they'll repel the wrong ones. So you should be using core values in all of your communication. You should be using them in your hiring, your decision making, in your customer interactions, and really make sure that people are living by these values and following them properly, because it will permeate through your entire company. And what magic happens when everybody starts living by the same values? You get so much trust between you and your employees as far as decision making, and you can give them more responsibility. You get more trust with customers because they know that you are going to deliver the things you say you're going to deliver, because everybody in the organization operates on the same base programming. And ultimately, it creates consistency in your brand and consistency in your culture, which is super important. The thing about these values, going back to the roles, the technician, the manager, and the entrepreneur, like every single one of them will carry through what the technician does. So if you've got a core value of integrity, and you've got a core value of showing up on time, and you've got a core value of always doing the best work possible, when the technician shows up on time and tells the truth and has high integrity and high standards and turns out the best work possible, you get the best product possible. When the manager shows up on time and has high integrity and always does his best work, you get happy and resourceful technicians. When the entrepreneur shows up on time, it bleeds over to the manager, and the manager sees, and the entrepreneur leads by example. So every role in the business, it all builds cumulatively off these core values. So it's not just a set of words. These are the things you're going to use to guide your vision as the entrepreneur. You're going to use them to guide the management team that you start to build, and you're going to use them to guide the technicians that you are training to fulfill the work that you and the managers are bringing in. So yeah, that's how it works. Those are core values. They're really, really important to have in your business. And again, jump out to the, let me just grab it here real quick. Jump out to the cheat sheet there. You can see, I won't move my screen this time, but you can see the 6 categories, all those words there describing who you are and how you feel about yourself, about your business, and how you want things to operate. And remember, there's no rules here. This is what you want, okay? Your core values to attract your top employees, to attract your top customers, your top people you want to spend your time doing business with and being in business with, will all come from writing this down and defining who you are and who you want to be around. All right. So yeah, get to work, crack on. There's homework in the class there. If you've got any questions, post in the forums, and I will be around this week on the Q&A if you want to ask directly on there. So that'll do it for core values, and I'll see you in the next lesson. All right.